Imagine you could rewind the universe for 5 billion years and watch Earth being born. There would be no oceans, no forests, no cities, no animals, and definitely no humans. Just a violent world of molten rock, volcanic gases, asteroid impacts, and unimaginable heat. And yet, somehow, from that chaos came a planet where oceans formed. An atmosphere developed, chemistry became biology, and eventually one species evolved that could look back at the entire process and ask a terrifying question. Why did everything work out so perfectly? Because Earth isn't just a rock floating through space. It sits at a remarkably useful distance from the Sun. It has abundant liquid water. It has an atmosphere capable of supporting complex chemistry. Its interior generates a magnetic field. Its surface is constantly recycled by geological activity. It has carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, and other elements essential to life. And somehow, all of these systems interact in a way that has allowed life to survive for billions of years. Change some of those conditions, and Earth could have become a frozen wasteland like Mars, a pressure cooker like Venus, or something completely different. So, is Earth genuinely special? Or does it only look special because we're standing on the planet that happened to produce us? Welcome back to Future and Facts Hub. Today, we're going deep into one of the strangest questions in science. How is Earth so suspiciously perfect for life? Let's start with the most obvious coincidence of all. The perfect distance Earth orbits the Sun at roughly 150 million kilometers, or about 93 million miles away. That number might sound completely ordinary, but move Earth significantly closer to the Sun, and things get very different. Move it farther away, and the oceans could eventually freeze over. Earth happens to orbit within what scientists call the habitable zone, the region around a star where temperatures can potentially allow liquid water to exist on a planet's surface. And liquid water is incredibly important. Every form of life we currently know depends on water. It acts as a solvent, transports chemicals, participates in biological reactions, and allows incredibly complex chemistry to happen. But here's the important part. Being in a habitable zone doesn't automatically make a planet habitable. Venus is near the inner edge of our Sun's habitable region, yet its surface is hot enough to melt lead. Mars is farther out and has evidence of ancient rivers and lakes. But today its atmosphere is extremely thin and its surface is brutally cold. So Earth's distance from the Sun was only the beginning. Something else had to go right, and that something was Earth's atmosphere. Earth needed the right blanket. Imagine standing on Mars without a spacesuit. You wouldn't simply feel cold. The atmosphere is so thin that liquid water cannot remain stable on the surface for long. Mars lost most of the thick atmosphere it once had. Now look at Venus. It has an atmosphere so thick that heat becomes trapped in a runaway greenhouse effect. Earth sits somewhere between these extremes. Our atmosphere provides pressure, regulates temperature, transports heat, protects the surface, and supplies the gases needed for life. But Earth's atmosphere wasn't simply handed to us. It evolved. Volcanoes released gases from Earth's interior. Chemical reactions altered the atmosphere. Oceans absorbed and released gases. Rocks interacted with carbon dioxide. And eventually, living organisms themselves transformed the planet. One of the greatest transformations came from tiny organisms that lived billions of years ago. Cyanobacteria. These microscopic organisms developed the ability to use sunlight to produce energy while releasing oxygen. At first, oxygen was toxic to much of the existing life. But over immense periods of time, oxygen accumulated in the atmosphere. The planet was changing, and life was changing with it. This is where Earth starts looking truly strange, because life wasn't simply adapting to Earth's environment. Life was also changing the environment itself, and that feedback would eventually help create the world we recognize today. The water mystery, but before complex life could evolve, Earth needed something even more basic: water. Today, roughly 71% of Earth's surface is covered by oceans. But where did all that water come from? Scientists are still investigating the exact history. And Earth's water likely came from multiple sources and processes. Water was incorporated into the materials that formed Earth, released through volcanic activity. An additional water-rich material may have been delivered by impacts early in Earth's history. Whatever the precise combination, the result was extraordinary. A planet with vast quantities of liquid water sitting directly on its surface. And those oceans didn't just provide somewhere for life to live. They helped stabilize Earth's climate, moved heat around the planet, participated in chemical cycles, and created enormous environments where chemistry could evolve. But Earth had another unusual feature that may have played an important role. Our moon. The moon that changed Earth. The moon is enormous compared with the planet it orbits. And according to the leading model, it formed after a massive collision between the young Earth and a planetary body often called Theia. That collision was catastrophic, but it also helped create the Earth-Moon system we see today. The moon's gravity produces tides. Those tides have influenced Earth's oceans and coastlines for billions of years. And the moon also plays a major role in stabilizing Earth's axial tilt. Earth's axis is tilted by roughly 23.5 degrees. That tilt gives us seasons. And while the moon is not the only factor affecting Earth's long-term climate stability, its gravitational influence helps reduce large changes in Earth's axial orientation. But here's something fascinating. We don't actually know that a large moon is absolutely required for complex life. That's an important distinction. The moon may have helped make Earth's environment more stable, but we only have one known example of a living planet. So we shouldn't automatically assume that every feature of Earth was necessary. Maybe life needed the moon. Maybe it didn't. And that uncertainty becomes extremely important later. But before we get there, we have to travel beneath our feet. Because hidden thousands of kilometers below us is another reason Earth may have remained habitable for so long. The invisible shield around Earth, deep inside Earth, is a metallic core. The outer core is primarily composed of liquid iron and nickel. And because this electrically conducting liquid moves through Earth's interior, it generates Earth's global magnetic field. You can't see it. You can't hear it. You can't feel it. But it's there. And it extends far beyond Earth's surface, creating a protective magnetic environment called the magnetosphere. When charged particles from the sun slam into Earth's magnetic environment, the interaction can produce spectacular auroras near the poles. But the magnetic field is more than a light show. It helps protect Earth from the solar wind and charged particles from space. Earth's atmosphere is also protected by its gravity and by other physical processes. And the magnetic field is one important part of this larger planetary system. Without these layers of protection, Earth's surface environment could have evolved very differently. And that brings us to one of the biggest differences between Earth and Mars: gravity. Earth had to be big enough. Mars is only about half Earth's diameter and roughly 1/10 its mass. Because Mars is smaller, it has weaker gravity. Over billions of years, its atmosphere became extremely thin. Earth, meanwhile, was massive enough to retain a substantial atmosphere. That atmosphere helped maintain surface pressure and allowed liquid water to exist over huge portions of the planet. So Earth's size mattered. Not too small, not too large, just another piece of the puzzle. And then there's the chemistry. Because having water isn't enough. You need the right ingredients. The ingredients of life. Every living thing we know is built from chemistry. And some elements are particularly important: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur. These elements can form an astonishing variety of molecules. Carbon is especially useful because it can build long, complex structures. Nitrogen is essential for proteins and nucleic acids. Phosphorus plays critical roles in DNA, RNA, and cellular energy transfer. Oxygen became enormously important for complex life in Earth's atmosphere. And sulfur participates in numerous biological processes. But having these elements isn't enough either. They have to be accessible. They have to interact. and the planet needs mechanisms capable of moving material from deep inside Earth toward the surface. That's where geology enters the story. A planet that never stops moving Earth isn't a dead rock. Its surface is constantly changing. Tectonic plates move. Mountains rise. Oceans open and close. Volcanoes erupt. Rocks are weathered. Carbon moves between the atmosphere, oceans, rocks, and living organisms. This planetary recycling system has been operating for enormous periods of time. Volcanic activity brings material from Earth's interior toward the surface. Weathering breaks down rocks. Oceans transport chemicals. Sediments are buried. And tectonic activity can eventually push material back into Earth's interior. It's an enormous planetary recycling machine. And this geological activity may have been crucial for keeping Earth's climate within a range where life could survive. But perhaps the most fascinating environments aren't even on the continents. They're deep beneath the oceans, where life may have started. Imagine a world billions of years ago. No trees, no animals, no oxygen-rich atmosphere, no cities, no humans. Just oceans, volcanic activity, minerals, chemical gradients, and energy. Deep beneath those oceans are hydrothermal vents, places where hot, mineral-rich fluids emerge from Earth's crust. These environments provide water, energy, and chemical ingredients. Some scientists have proposed that environments like these could have played an important role in the origin of life. We still don't know exactly how non-living chemistry crossed the enormous gap into the first true living systems. That remains one of science's biggest mysteries. But somehow, it happened. Simple chemistry became increasingly complex. Molecules began interacting in new ways. Eventually, systems capable of reproduction appeared. And once evolution had something that could reproduce with variation, the real experiment began. 4 billion years of survival life didn't immediately become complicated. For an enormous portion of Earth's history, life was microscopic. Then, slowly things changed. Photosynthetic organisms transformed the atmosphere. Cells became more complex. Multicellular organisms appeared. Oceans filled with increasingly diverse life. Animals evolved. Plants colonized land. Forests appeared. Dinosaurs dominated the planet. And then, 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid impact contributed to the end of the age of non-avian dinosaurs. But life survived, and after countless evolutionary twists and turns, mammals expanded into ecological niches that had opened up. Eventually, one branch of those mammals became something truly unusual. Us, humans. A species capable of looking at the stars and wondering why any of this exists. And now comes the strangest part. Was Earth actually perfect? Here's the problem. When we look at Earth, we see an incredible chain of conditions that allowed us to exist. But there's a trap hiding inside that observation. We only know one planet with life, Earth. So when we say Earth's conditions are perfect for life, what we really mean is these are the conditions under which the life we know evolved. That's not necessarily the same thing. Imagine billions of lottery tickets being printed. One ticket wins. Afterward, someone examines the winning ticket and says, "Look at all these numbers. What are the chances of getting this exact combination?" The answer is incredibly small, but somebody had to win. And the winner will always have an extremely improbable sequence. Earth might be similar. Perhaps the universe contains an enormous number of planets with different combinations of conditions. And we're naturally located on one of the planets where the combination happened to work. This idea is closely connected to what's known as the anthropic principle. We shouldn't be surprised that the universe looks compatible with our existence. Because if it weren't compatible with our existence, we wouldn't be here to notice it. But that still leaves a gigantic mystery. Where is everybody? There are hundreds of billions of stars in the Milky Way, and our galaxy is only one galaxy among an enormous number of galaxies in the observable universe. We now know that planets are common. Some stars have multiple planets. Some planets orbit within potentially habitable regions. And yet, We haven't discovered a confirmed extraterrestrial civilization. No alien transmission. No unmistakable artificial signal. No megastructure confirmed to be built by an advanced civilization. Nothing that conclusively tells us we are not alone. This is the famous Fermi paradox. If planets are so common, and if intelligent life can evolve elsewhere, then where is everyone? Maybe intelligent life is incredibly rare. Maybe simple life is common, but technological civilizations are almost impossible. Maybe civilizations destroy themselves. Maybe they become technologically advanced and lose interest in communicating. Maybe the distances between civilizations are simply too enormous. Or maybe we're looking in completely the wrong way. Because here's something humans often forget. Our civilization has existed for an incredibly tiny fraction of Earth's history. Modern technological civilization is even younger. The universe has been around for roughly 13.8 billion years. Human radio signals have only been traveling into space for around a century. That's almost nothing on a cosmic timescale. Imagine Earth's entire history compressed into one calendar year. Modern human civilization would appear in the final moments of December 31st. Our radio technology? Practically the last fraction of a second. So perhaps the universe isn't silent. Perhaps we're simply listening during the wrong moment. Hashtag the Jupiter question, and remember Jupiter? It's often described as Earth's giant protector, because its enormous gravity can alter the paths of comets and asteroids. But the story isn't that simple. Jupiter can sometimes redirect dangerous objects away from the inner solar system, but its gravity can also send objects toward the inner planets. So calling Jupiter a guaranteed cosmic shield is an oversimplification. And this teaches us something important. The universe doesn't need every part of Earth's system to be perfectly designed. Some features may have helped. Some may have hurt. Some may have had almost no effect on the development of life. And some things we currently think are essential may turn out not to be essential at all. That's why scientists are cautious about calling Earth perfect, because we don't yet know what life truly requires. Earth isn't perfect. Earth has experienced mass extinctions, global climate changes, supervolcanoes, asteroid impacts, ice ages, atmospheric transformations. Millions of species have disappeared. Life itself has repeatedly come dangerously close to major collapse. This isn't a perfect planet. It's a planet that has been surprisingly resilient. And perhaps that's the more fascinating story. Earth didn't remain unchanged for billions of years. It changed constantly. Life adapted to those changes. And sometimes life itself caused even bigger changes. The planet and its organisms became part of one enormous, interconnected system. And after billions of years of chaos, here we are. If you're enjoying this journey through the strangest questions about our universe, make sure you subscribe to Future and Facts Hub. Because the deeper we look into the universe, the stranger the questions become. So, are we lucky? Maybe, but there are several possibilities. Perhaps Earth really is extraordinarily rare. Maybe the combination of liquid water, a stable star, atmospheric conditions, geology, chemistry, and billions of years of stability is incredibly difficult to reproduce. Or perhaps life is everywhere. Maybe the universe is filled with oceans beneath the ice of distant moons. Maybe microbial life exists on countless planets. Maybe intelligent civilizations have already risen and disappeared. Maybe some are watching the universe right now. And maybe somewhere unimaginably far away, another civilization is asking exactly the same question we're asking tonight. How is our planet so suspiciously perfect for life? There's another possibility that's even more humbling. Maybe Earth isn't perfect at all. Maybe we're simply the product of the conditions that happen to exist here. If Earth had been different, life could have been different. If the chemistry had changed, perhaps another kind of organism would have emerged. If the climate had followed another path, perhaps intelligence would have evolved in a completely different form. And if Earth had never become habitable, there would be nobody here to complain about it. That's the strange selection effect hiding behind our entire existence. We don't live on Earth because Earth was guaranteed to produce humans. We exist because Earth happened to produce a chain of events that eventually led to us. And every link in that chain had to survive billions of years of cosmic chaos. An asteroid could have changed everything. A different climate could have changed everything. A different chemical pathway could have changed everything. A different evolutionary mutation could have changed everything. And yet, somehow, the chain continued. Hashtag the real mystery. So, is Earth suspiciously perfect for life? Maybe. But perhaps the better question isn't, why is Earth perfect? Asterisk. Maybe it's, how many different ways can the universe create life? Asterisk, because right now, we only have one example. One planet, one biosphere, one evolutionary history, one civilization, us, until we discover life somewhere else. We can't know which features of Earth are truly necessary and which are simply the conditions that happen to produce our particular form of life. And that means the biggest discovery in human history may not happen on Earth at all. It might happen when we find a second example. A microbe beneath the ice of another world. A chemical signature in the atmosphere of a distant exoplanet. Or perhaps, one day, a signal from an intelligent civilization. Because the moment we find life somewhere else, Earth stops being the only example. And suddenly, we can compare. We can finally ask, was Earth incredibly special? Or was life simply waiting for the right opportunity? Until that day comes, Earth remains our only confirmed living world. A tiny blue planet orbiting an ordinary star. In one galaxy, among billions of others. Careen oceans, forests, animals, humans. And a civilization capable of wondering how any of it happened. And perhaps that's the strangest coincidence of all. Out of everything the universe could have produced something capable of looking back at the universe and asking why it exists. This is Future and Facts Hub, and if you want to keep exploring the questions that make our universe feel even stranger, subscribe and join us for the next one.